Hayward hits back. The outgoing chief executive of BP has said he feels demonised and vilified at becoming the public face of the Gulf of Mexico oil disaster. His comments come after the company posted one of the biggest corporate losses in history. And there could be yet worse to come with the threat of costly legal action if BP is found to be grossly negligent. Well, our business correspondent Joel Hills has more. Joel.
Anna, yes, back in the red after 18 years. BP has announced a record quarterly loss of £11 billion. The company has been forced to put aside almost £21 billion to cover the cost of the spill in the Gulf of Mexico. Around £13 billion of that will be spent on legal action. BP already faces 300 private civil lawsuits and is under investigation by the US authorities. Now, BP says it's confident it isn't guilty of gross negligence, but if a court decides otherwise, who knows how high the final bill will soar.
No questions, guys, please. No questions at all, please.
BP's big problem in the last few months has been communication.
Sky News is how comfortable are you in your own position? Will you now talk to?
Tony Hayward's goodbye was no exception. He seemed content to let his chairman and successor speak, but off camera he told journalists, "This is a very sad day for me personally. Whether it's fair or unfair is not the point. I became the public face of the disaster and was demonised and vilified. BP cannot move on in the US with me as its leader. Life isn't fair." Tony Hayward is going for the good of the company, and the sense you get is he's not happy about it. BP says it's going to change, but perhaps not in the way that Greenpeace protesters are hoping. Activists forced several petrol stations in London to close today, but the company has much bigger costs to face. A clean-up bill of £21 billion, which even the chairman concedes could get bigger.
We believe today that we are not gross negligent. That doesn't mean that is exactly the amount, that there couldn't be any other costs developing. Those are the costs that we know of today, and some of it is estimates.
BP has capped the leak, but oil has already washed up on more than 800 miles of coastline. The company faces legal action from states like Louisiana, Mississippi and Tennessee, as well as individuals, fishermen, hoteliers, shareholders, as well as the families of those who are dead and injured. Online, lawyers are touting for business.
I think there are more claims to come here. The losses are probably predictable at this time. But if you look at something that is not included in there, amongst other things, is the medical claims that could come later. And I believe that BP hasn't allowed enough for that element of the claims.
BP already has plans to sell off 1/10 of its assets to pay for this disaster. It's banking on having to pay around £700 for every barrel spilt. But if a court were to find BP guilty of gross negligence, then under the Clean Water Act, that amount could go up to as much as £2,700 a barrel. Little wonder, Anna, that today BP's share price fell. There's still plenty of uncertainty ahead.